Monday, 29th of September. It's 25. And Advance UK had their official launch on Saturday, and they had it in Newcastle, which was nice. I thought it was a nice thing. Funnily enough, it was the same day when UKIP was marching there, so I think, must have given the police a bit of a headache. Not that there was any trouble either, as far as I know. Yeah, and Advance, they had this somewhere booked at Glasgow council hotel, or owned by the council. But at the last minute, the council cancelled it. So, but they did find somewhere else in Newcastle, so that's good. So I'm guessing the far left don't have this problem. But anyway, I saw it live streamed. The mic wasn't very good, which is a bit sad, but can't be helped, especially a last minute change, a new party. It's not a big deal. And from what I saw, it sounded good, well, sound what I could make out. Um, but I've heard Ben Habib lots of other times, and a lot of the others that were there. They had quite a few speakers. They had a young lady and just ordinary people, as far as I could think. It's interesting because I think Ben Habib is the best leader, and Advance are the best party to vote for if you're using the electoral system as a referendum on one issue, which began in 1948 basically, because we never had a referendum on it. It's the biggest change ever, probably. Uh, but also, I'm interested in the other policies he's got and his conduct. I think he's the best leader of the lot of them. Very convincing. And I think he even says himself he doesn't consider himself left or right. Probably I would imagine he used to be a Tory, but now I think he sees it as nationalism and against globalism, or nationalism or globalism, but not in the thing. He says the pendulum needs to shift back, but not too far, So that's the sort of attitude. Yeah, he sounds excellent to me. And it's good because now we've got two parties competing with each other there. We've got Reform as well. And I'm quite impressed with them as well, Nigel Farage. I feel that they've been pushed more on this issue because of Advance starting, because they made that big policy announcement last Monday. Maybe they knew the Advance thing was coming on Saturday, I don't know, but maybe that was a coincidence. But it was a really good thing that they said about legal migration. So, indefinite right to leave, etc., which doesn't exist in a lot of countries. They're going to change it to a renewable work visa for every 5 years. So that was excellent from them. Maybe they were pressured by Advance. And also you've got Restore UK as well. They're causing pressure as well. And it is ironic because usually the party system is a two-party system, and it's really very undemocratic because we only get to vote every 5 years, and you've got to either vote for one party or the other, really. But these two parties are doing badly now, very badly. And now we've got, what, three parties on the right? I mean, the Tories were the only ones on the right for a long time, then we had UKIP for a while, then the Brexit Party. But really now we've got three, and the Reform are doing best at the moment. I think Advance might even beat them eventually. And I noticed there was Ben Habib chants, which is always a good sign because that means those that aren't watching too closely, once they start hearing chants, they're thinking, what are they chanting about it? So that's a good thing. I can think of something else that gets chanted. But I think on day one, if he's elected Prime Minister, they're elected, I think he's going to freeze something altogether. So that's the best out of a lot of them, really. And I think in his words is to see what on earth's going on, because it's as if either people don't know what's going on or they're keeping all the stats hidden and stuff. As Yusuf says today, they've not told us how many foreigners get access to NHS, how much they cost. I don't know what else, housing benefit. I don't know. Um, all these other things. Because all the talk just now, I think about is it 1 in 6 of people on universal credit are foreigners or whatever. But before that's not before the Boris wave gets indefinite right to leave. So I don't know. I feel that the people come and know all the loopholes and all that. Probably the best way you could understand the British welfare system and the immigration system is in these countries basically, or at community centres to do with these groups. You know, the rest of us just haven't a clue. I mean, Tom Harris, MP, he was saying that he'd done a tweet this weekend or something, the former MP, he's Labour. He said that one time he got someone who came to him who'd been given asylum and he was asking if he could get help. He came to Tom Harris to ask for help to get a passport so that he could go on holiday back to his country. Or he was waiting to get asylum. He was waiting to get thinged. So, I mean, if anyone goes on holiday back to some country where nothing's changed, then that should be forfeited, you know, because there's no issue deporting them or anything. Anyway, back on to this. Yeah, the advance thing looked good. It was packed out and all that. You know, it was just at a hotel. I'm really impressed. And the way he's set it up as well, he's thought of everything, he's structured it. So it's looking really good. And at the moment, we're actually spoilt for choice. Still not enough, I think, on this issue. I mean, say if you put open borders and remigration as the two opposites, say 0 to 100, 100 being open borders, we're at around about 92 at the moment. We've been up at 95. When we go down to 94, the left called people the R words, especially the MPs. And Keir Starmer's done that this weekend, actually. I mean, Reform are talking about taking it down to about 90, I would say, or 85, you know. Yeah, so I've been very impressed with Advance. Let's see what they're up to. Yeah, and a great thing about Advance is Ben Habib does lots of interviews with people on YouTube and stuff, social media. So you can see a lot of them on there. Funnily enough, I think he was still thinking, not totally, he was thinking that he wanted to be in GB News and that, but he feels he's banned from them now or not asked anymore. And he really worried that might stop him getting the message out. But then he started doing social media interviews and that, and he says it's been fantastic. He's getting even more views, you know, that way. And he was saying that Reform still probably think the old way, you know, do the old media, the legacy stuff. You know, get an interview with the Telegraph and be misinterpreted and stuff, you know, or misconstrued, you know. I totally agree with him, you know, just go on social media really, just create your own channel, which he's done anyway. I think he calls it the News at Ben or something. Yeah, the Advance Party launch, well, it was June 30th, the soft launch he calls it. Yeah, the aims to uphold the principles such as national sovereignty, freedom of speech, democracy and equality before the law. They advocate for reduced, on that issue, tax cuts and the rejection of supranational institutions like the UN and HWO. So I'm not sure if he's like a Thatcherite Tory, you know, who talk about tax cuts all the time. I mean, yeah, take tax away from the poor. I would say tax more, put wealth tax on the wealthy. That would be my attitude. You know, the patriotic millionaires talk about that. They talk about anyone with assets over 10 million should pay, what is it, 2% asset tax, which they think would raise 22 billion a year. And Brian Eno, he's one of them. He says he thinks it's too low. He thinks it should be 5%. Or I don't know. Maybe he said 10%. I can't remember. Brian Eno, who used to be in Roxy Music, you know, he says he's round about the 10 million range. But you know, once you've got a certain amount of money, you don't really need it. And on the one hand, spending it on frivolous stuff, they'll do that till the cows come home. But they resent paying tax, you know, even if it's just what you're meant to. They like for loopholes, you know, they'll get tax accountants and stuff. So I think that actually is sad. You know, that's just my opinion. Registration, the party already has 30,000 members, so that's incredible. And they've got Tommy in there, he's a member. I think he said at the weekend he would like to become an MP, and I think he should because he's really attention to detail and knowledgeable and intelligent. You know, I think he's got about 13 O levels or maybe A levels. He said he breezed through them, And originally he was an aircraft engineer apprentice or something, but he didn't like it. Um, he said he wasn't like the other ones who were there. Um, yeah, so the official event was the 27th of September 25 in Newcastle upon Tyne. And I've seen live stream videos of the UKIP march and that. Newcastle's changed quite a lot, which I expected anyway. Um, but it was interesting to see them. I don't know how many they had there, maybe 300 or something. But that's still people who hear about these, even though it's quite hard to hear about them, really. The other side was bigger this time, I think, by the looks of it. I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter, because that might be their full vote out, really. You know, apparently in the polls last week, the whole of the northeast of England is expected to go from Labour to Reform. So there you go, and that's including Sunderland, Newcastle, Durham, the whole lot. I think that area's been known by a charity as a, what did they call it? Wait a minute. I can't remember the word. Like safe area for newcomers, really, or people waiting to be processed or whatever. Most of whom LabCon make British. Um, yeah, and they've got other. As I've said before, I don't believe in parties and party hampers. I would rather vote on issues like the Swiss electoral system, who had referendums at the weekend there. They had an ID one, digital ID one, which just passed with just over 50%. I don't know if it passed all the cantons, though. You have to do both, not just the absolute vote and cantons. And they done another one. I think that just failed. I don't know, but I think we should be referendums all the time. Uh, Sovereignty and international relations, national sovereignty, rejection of supranational institutions like the UN, WHO, and WEF, advancing the UK's Christian constitution, culture and values, and immigration. They're talking about mass migration. A central theme is eroding our culture and destroying our economy. I mean, since this has been talked, it feels as this is pushed reform, but I'm not sure because Zia Yusuf looks sort of hard on this. I mean, Zia Yusuf was hard on the legal and the illegal side a few months ago, but now they're clamping down on the Boris wave as well, and also I can't remember what I was going to say. Borders, a commitment to so he's saying mass migration is eroding our culture and destroying our economy. So it's not just economy. The idea is it's maybe really good for the economy, but they're saying now they don't think it is actually. But also the culture aspect. Um, and borders. A commitment to enforcing borders and taking all steps required to deport all illegals. A point of distinction they make from reform, but I think reform are catching up with them. And as I say, it's like capitalist competition. The thing about capitalist competition is it works in the early days, but then people keep buying competitors up, and you end up with maybe two or three at the end. You know, you've ended up with Facebook, Google, and Apple, say. And I mean, Facebook was starting to get big. Microsoft as well. Microsoft tried to buy them. They decided not to, and they became a big one. So, if they hadn't, they could have just sold it, and that would have been them. It would have been Microsoft. So Microsoft, Apple, Google, Facebook, and Facebook bought Instagram when they saw it was doing well. They bought WhatsApp when they saw it was doing well. Um, yeah, Microsoft buys things up. You know, Amazon bought Twitch or whatever it was called before, Justin TV or whatever. You know, that's how capitalism ends at the end. They all try to buy each other up, and in the end they really want to be a monopoly, but they usually end up a duopoly, maybe a triopoly if you're lucky. But this is what's happening. It's been monopolies in our electoral system, and now we've got Tories reform and advance on the right for a change. It used to just be the Tories, really, apart from UKIP maybe, and first past the post. It's not getting shared out really. It's whoever wins the seat, you know. Yeah, demographic change, expressing concerns about the rate of demographic change in the UK. So there we go. That's great. I think they're by far the best on this. In say a local election, if Reform had the best chance, I would vote for them. It depends. I prefer to vote for Advance. In the Scottish elections, for my second vote, I would vote for Advance. My first vote, it would depend. It's first past the post for the first vote. So maybe it'd be Reform because they've got all the momentum at the moment. Economy and taxation announced intentions to enact a Liz Truss style tax cuts. I'm a bit dubious about that, but I don't know. Government overhaul, a general aim to reduce government spending. Well, of course, yeah, but not slash and burn or whatever, which they describe as being at post-war highs, and to remove many quangos, quasi-autonomous, non-governmental organisations. I think it was John Major that brought these in, and they were a good idea because you were to bring in a wise group to oversee it, but it's turned out it's woke groups basically, because I think there's one to do with Prevent or whatever, and it says that people might be regarded far are if they think native Brits are going to become a minority. I mean, I don't know. How's that? I don't know. I just no comment really. It's not even a conspiracy. I don't think. Even if you think it's, I mean, even if you take away the conspiracy thing, you don't even need to bother about that, in my opinion. Economic decline, asserting that the economy has stagnated and that there is a need to reverse the descent into decay and the rise of dependency over aspiration. Yeah, good words, yeah. Social and cultural issues. Free speech, a focus on protecting freedom of speech. Yeah, that's weird at the moment because it felt that we were getting freed up because of Elon Musk and even, who was it? Yeah, Tommy got his YouTube back just after that march, I think, the other week, 2 weeks ago. Um, so it's felt as if we're open up, but now it feels as if we're getting closed down again. Labour are making one last gasp go at it while they're still in power. I would say artificial power because it was a loveless landslide they had. They get 33% of 59% who've turned out. It's the lowest vote for a long time, I think 70 years or something, the lowest turnout, and they only get 33% or something. So they get about 20% of voters voted for them, and they've got about two-thirds of the seats. So that just shows you that the electoral system's not fit for purpose. Free speech, yeah. Woke ideology, yeah, absolutely. Uh, Justice and crime, yeah. Liz Truss says that um, it's the way judges are appointed now. They're appointed by quangos rather than it used to be the whoever was the minister at the time. Um, that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's the sort of thing. And policies on this issue, say, drastic reduction. It needs a significant reversal of current trends. Deportation of all illegals. Uh, and now Labour are talking about it hardline because they've got their conference going on just now, and they're talking about it hardline, especially under Sabah Mahood or whatever her name is, which is meant to be a bit of a surprise to us. But I think on the legal, they're probably going to make easier routes to get in. Um, Maybe make more legal options. Enforcement at the border. Yeah, he says, Ben always says that Belgium stop dinghies in the water, whereas the French don't. I don't know if that's correct or not. I've tried looking it up, but certainly there's nothing really coming from Belgium. I don't know how much further away that is. Maybe it's because they've heard that French don't stop you. The French police don't stop you once you're in the water. Um, so they just go there anyway. Concern over demographic change. Yeah, well, that's really good to know. Because Keir Starmer's he's doubling down. He's calling reform's new policy on indefinite right to remain uh, the R word. So really, by default, that means he's calling voters who vote reform that as well. I mean, he says he isn't, but how's he not? But a lot of Labour voters are voting with their hearts and their minds now, you know. Um, yeah, here's the other things. So that's it, really. A declining culture and the destruction of the economy. Yeah, so it's a great start. That's who I would recommend you vote for. But because of first past the post system, sometimes you might have to vote reform, which is no problem either, really, you know. Um, Advance are better, though, in my opinion. Okay, or it's looking that way, you know, reform, they're competing with each other, so it's fantastic. It's capitalism in our electoral system, basically, finally. Um, yeah, on the right, I'm talking about basically. And then Jeremy Corbyn's party is going to come along, so now you've got capitalism on the left as well. Although they've had it for a while, because they've got the Greens and the Lib Dems. I mean, the left, I think, have always, over the last 60, 70 years, the left have always been the most the majority, you know, over 50, 60%. But because of our first past the post system and it's getting split between Lib Dems, Greens, etc., the Tories have managed to sneak through, you know, a lot of times. Um, I think the highest Tories have had is like 44%. It might be more than that actually. It might be around about 50%, around about 1952, 51%. Um, but now the Labour and Conservative are around about, I don't know, 30% between the two of them. Um, Maybe a bit more, 35% or whatever. But now Reform are in 33% or whatever, you know, and Advance are going to come along now. Um, so really, on the right on this issue, we're being spoiled at the moment. Still, the dials to go back from like 85 or 90, but it's moving that way quickly now. So it's fantastic, really. Well, maybe too late though, I don't know. But anyway, that's all for just now. Bye bye.